So here goes. Like I told you guys, at first, and this is what's really surprising to me, I don't understand why Justin Baldoni's team is fumbling this situation, right? So when the lawsuits and stuff started spinning around, most people were on Justin Baldoni's side, right? And then when they released the video, when they released all sorts of other things to prove his side, more and more people were on his side. But now his legal team, I don't know what kind of strategy they're pulling here, like what changed about them, but now they're behaving in a way that I don't love it, to be honest, right? So last week we talked about them, saying, hey, Blake, if you really want to be an ally for women, dealing with sexual harassment, why don't you sell tickets, for your deposition? We could watch it live in Madison Square Garden. Dude, this is a harassment case. Like, it's not for people's entertainment. It's not a pay-per-view WWE event. Like, what was that, right? Like, just very weird stuff going on. And then yesterday we talked about, and here's like a little overview of what they had filed. It was just like this gossipy thing that they filed with the docket saying, hey, like, Blake Lively has been trying to force Taylor Swift to speak up for her. She's also telling Taylor Swift to delete these text messages, which very well could be true. But it's just, and we'll get into it a little bit, as we read the judge kind of like eviscerating them for filing this in his courtroom. It's just that it was inappropriate for the case at play here. It was not the right jurisdiction. All sorts of things were wrong with what it is that they had filed there. And I have a copy of the court document. So we're definitely going to go over it together just to, understand a little bit more about what happened and why the judge is extremely unhappy with them. I'm worried that they are losing a lot of the goodwill that they have had up until this point. Okay. So this is what the judge had responded to their document with, okay? And mind you, Blake Lively's team had petitioned to get it stricken from the records. So the judge said that courts have inherent power to manage their own affairs so as to achieve the orderly and expeditious disposition of cases. This includes the power to strike materials outside the pleadings that are, quote, abusive or otherwise improper. So the judge overseeing this case is quite literally saying, you guys are just being abusive at this point. You guys just want to bring a barrage of bad press to this woman. You guys just want to harass this woman, and that is not okay. This is not good. It's really not. And so they said the Second Circuit has emphasized that courts should protect the judicial process from being co-opted to promote scandal arising out of unproven, potentially libelous statements. Right. So at this point, the judge is low-key saying, you guys, you're using my courtroom to libel, to slander somebody, and that is not okay. It has stated that a district court has not only the power, but the responsibility to exercise, quote, supervisory power over its own records and files to ensure that they are not used to gratify private spite or promote public scandal. Every phrase is just harsher than the last to really hammer it in here that Justin Baldoni's legal team is bullying, Justin Baldoni's legal team is harassing, and Justin Baldoni's legal team is being incredibly inappropriate. And, I'm clutching my imaginary pearls at just how scathing this response is. It could have been a lot more like, hey, listen, this has nothing to do with the case. This is not, my jurisdiction. This is this, that. No, but they said, oh, you're going to learn today. And because you guys want everything to play out in the public, to slander Blake and to get people, hate train and whatnot against Blake and whatnot, let me put you on notice in front of the entire press, because we know that everybody is watching this, right? Like a hawk. The press is going to see this. So now it's your turn to face consequences for what you're doing, right? And again, you guys, I'm not Team Blake. I'm not Team Justin. I am Team Truth. I just want for the truth to come out in all of this. But for now, Justin's team, they effed up this time. They royally effed up. And so the judge continued on to say, it has stated that a district court has not only the power, but also the responsibility to exercise supervisory power over its own records and files to ensure that they are not used to gratify. Okay, so we got to that already. The letter is improper and must be stricken. It is irrelevant to any issue before this court and does not request any action from this court. So basically, it was like a burn book entry, right? Blake is so mean. Blake did this to Taylor Swift, right? I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend that Blake was doing this to Taylor Swift. And you know, he wasn't even asking the judge, like, hey, can you send out like a cease and desist to Blake Lively so that, like, you know, she doesn't delete text messages? Can you tell her to stop? Like, it was just a burn book entry, essentially. And that is embarrassing, right? So as we continue on to see what the judge had to say about Justin Baldoni's team's latest filing, we read the following. It concerns a subpoena proceeding in the District of Columbia over which this court has no authority. The sole purpose of the letter is to promote public scandal by advancing inflammatory accusations on information and belief against Lively and her counsel. So he's quite literally saying, y'all ain't ish. You guys are just trolling. You guys are just harassing, and you're just doing it for the public. You're clout chasers. Someone here, I think it might have been Milan yesterday, but someone yesterday said that Justin Baldoni's lawyers are clout chasers, and the judge is pretty much saying that. It transparently invites a press uproar by suggesting that Lively and her counsel attempted to extort a well-known celebrity. Retaining the letter on the docket would be of no use to the court and would allow the court's docket to serve as a reservoir of libelous statements for press consumption. He said, no, this is not Harvey 11. You know, this is not page 6. Take your mess over to them. Leave the court of law out of it. The same is true for the Wayfarer Party's subsequent submission at docket number 219, which the court will strike sua sponte for the same reason. So he struck at 2 times. The Second Circuit has noted that court filings may be abused to make potentially defamatory statements without the threat of liability, given that under New York law, absolute immunity from liability for defamation exists for oral or written statements made in connection with the proceeding before a court. It has advised the press accordingly. So basically, it seems like he says, run and tell your little press friends that what you filed was BS, since you want to talk to the press so bad. Let me go and find the rest of it. It's almost done, you guys, by the way. But again, the judge truly eviscerated Justin Baldoni's team here. And if I were Justin Baldoni, I would be having like some words with these people, because this is embarrassing. It's humiliating. The Second Circuit has noted that court filings may be abused to make potentially, okay, we saw that. It has advised the press accordingly that although the act of filing a document with a court might be thought to lend that document additional credibility, in fact, allegations appearing in such documents might be less credible than those published elsewhere. So he said, this is BS, press, since I know you're watching. Just because this was filed here in the court does not mean that it is legitimate. Hell, the stuff you see on Radar Online, the Daily Fail, might be even more credible than this nonsense that these people just try to get through my damn courtroom. Like, it seems to me that whatever good favor they had with the judge is all but gone, you guys. The judge told them to F off. And at the end, the judge even said, try this ish again in my courtroom and you will be sanctioned. Damn. I have not seen such a scathing, and I mean scathing, response from the judge at all. Like, they have been going back and forth naturally, right, in this situation. But this is really something that pissed off the judge. This judge said, this is not something that we are doing for the press. This is a serious situation. Like, what do you, like, get out of here with this nonsense. Try it again. Try me. Try it again. I dare you. See what happens. Wow. Very, very, very ugly stuff. Good morning, Acacia. Gwen. Good morning, Star. Good morning, Kayla. Karma. I saw Shem Gem in the building as well. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. Stephanie. Good morning. Ashley. We got Ashley number 2. Just 3 more Ashleys. Good morning, Bree. Let's see what some of y'all had to say about this, okay? Because that was woof. Wild. And Jaleesa got to see that. TikTok was so funny. Oh my God. And I'm really glad that you got to have a good time, Jaleesa. What did you wear, by the way? Because I still don't have my outfit. Malen says, like I said yesterday, I am team no one. Justin and Blake are cringe. And I agree. Up until this point, I was like, okay, like it's looking like Justin is going to have this. But to me, if you're so desperate that you would go and do something like this to piss off the judge to this level, maybe, just maybe, whatever we thought you had, whatever proof or this or that was smoke and mirrors up until this point. And it's ironic because one of the things that Blake Lively is accusing him of is DARVO, right? Which is when you try to retaliate against somebody by publicly trying to smear their character and everything like that. That is what he and his legal team just did. They tried to tar and feather her for no reason. And the judge said, back off. The judge could have just left it at, no, I agree with Blake's team, I'm going to strike it. But no, the judge was so pissed off that the judge wrote 4 pages scolding Baldoni's legal team, saying this is BS, this is bullying, this is harassment, this is libel, which is something that he can be sued over, right? If a judge tells you this is libel, if I were Blake Lively, heck, this is a new lawsuit. That was libel, that garbage that you put in there, right? And then on top of that, the judge says, hey, press, I see you watching. Just so you know, this was BS. And whatever made up crap you see on the internet might be more credible than the BS that Justin Baldoni's team just tried to slide through my courtroom. Can you imagine then having to face that judge for the rest of this trial? Wow, this is not good. The judge is pissed off. Kayla says it's almost egotistical, and I agree. I'm shocked by this. This is not good for Justin Baldoni's brand. Ramster says this lively Baldoni soap is getting on my nerves, especially compared to the absolute diddler horror show. This seems so frivolous, and I completely agree. Wasting a judge's time should be fined, and I agree with that as well. That was so reckless and irresponsible. And here's the thing: so many people hate Blake Lively, and listen, there are many reasons to hate Blake Lively, right? But even if you hate somebody, right is right, wrong is wrong, and fair is fair, right? What Justin Baldoni's team did there was wrong. It was ugly and it was unfair. And that is why the judge tore them a new one. Star says this case is so exhausting. How peaceful it is to be a mature adult, work things out amongst each other and right your wrongs. I agree. I still cannot believe that we have made it to this point because Lord have mercy. They all must be exhausted. By the time they actually wrap this up next year, the two of them are going to have to age 10 to 15 years. And the judge was more partial to Baldoni's team at first. But when they came and they pulled this fast one, oh, that changed almost immediately. This makes Judge Judy seem like Tinkerbell. And that is saying a lot, right? Oh my God. Hey, Misha. Good morning, Grace and Chat. Here to give you a thumbs up. Have a fantastic day. Thanks so much, Misha. Nice to see you, boo. Oh, Lord, y'all. I just do not know what to say. Again, I too was somebody who was not Team Baldoni, but more when the proof or the statements and whatnot came out, I was like, okay, like I believe Justin's side of things more. But now the more and more his team gets at it, I think it's because they're getting cocky or something, but it's not looking good. They just says, just throw the whole case out. They're both all big-headed, self-absorbed celebrities. And listen, that's true too. Like nobody here is innocent, right? And so at least I hope that these actions show people that, because people like to be so extreme in their things, like, oh, I hate this person or this person, so the other person has to be an angel. No, what if they're both crap? They might both be crap, y'all. Just saying. But I will say something that I find really interesting in the midst of all of this back and forth is that Blake Lively's best friend, Taylor Swift, has not come out to put the rumors to rest, right? Taylor Swift could have just said, you know what? Shame on Justin Baldoni and his team for making up lies. Nobody from my team contacted him with any kind of information. That is not true. Blake is my friend. She did not do that. But so far, she has yet to do that, which I do find to be a little bit interesting. But at the same time, she's got a mega brand to protect. It's not in her best interest to be getting wrapped up in all of this drama. Wow, I'm a little bit speechless about this, you guys. I saw somebody who just joined asking if I talked about the Janelle and Jay story, but no, not yet. That is actually going to be our next story. So you came at the right time, okay? Bree says, I'm still confused why they're in court. Listen, a lot of people theorize that Blake took this to court in order to steal the rights from the It Ends With Us sequel from Justin Baldoni, because part of the contract was that Justin Baldoni had the rights to all of the films, unless there was some kind of like morality clause or something like that breached. And so Taylor, people are saying that Blake is suing for that reason. But just overall, she's saying that she was harassed on that film, and you know, she wants to be made whole for that, right? And then Justin's saying, no, that's BS. You're a liar. You tried to steal the film from me. It's a lot of mess and back and forth, essentially. A big convoluted mess.